So Sheem has a question. It sounded like USCIS is lenient in improving EB-2 NIW these days, but this might change even if another Democrat candidate wins the election. Are NIW generally a difficult category to target for?
Yeah, so NIW is a pretty high standard. It's advanced degree or exceptional ability. And when someone is asking for a national interest waiver, they're asking the US government to waive the process that is protecting US workers. So waive the perm process. Any president, any party that's in power, they all have this incentive to protect US workers. And so it is difficult to get a national interest waiver. You really do need to prove that you are contributing to the US in a unique and special way, such that the US should want you to stay even if you are taking a US worker's job. And that's a high bar. So yes, you're right that the policies might change even if we have a Harris presidency, because the Democratic Party is also very much into protecting US workers. However, I think a Harris presidency would continue a lot of the same kinds of national priorities that the Biden administration did. So you'll continue to see a push to keep STEM talent in the US. We're not sure yet how the differences will kind of evolve across administrations. I would expect some changes, to be sure. But people who are working in really high-tech fields, especially fields where there's a shortage of US workers, and especially fields where they can show that they're making like a senior level or very significant impact, should continue to be a viable case. If we get another Trump administration, I'm a little bit concerned that it will go back to the policy from before, where it was very much focused on researchers, scholars, professors, people who could show kind of a fundamental research impact and not necessarily practitioners or industry people out in the STEM fields. I could be wrong. You never really know. I think it's possible that both the Trump and Harris administration could be similar on the NIW, seeing as how the US really does want to be dominant in some of these high-tech spaces like AI. But traditionally, the people the Trump administration has put in charge of USCIS are pretty anti-immigrant and will have much higher standards, but also just exclusionary standards to try and keep people out of the program. So USCIS isn't necessarily lenient in approving EB-2 NIW, it's just that priorities have shifted. And so now they're willing to consider a broader base of talent for the waiver. And like they're still taking the protections for US workers seriously. It is still really difficult to get an NIW approved if you are like more of a junior worker or just equivalent to a US worker coming out of college without much training or experience. But if you can make an argument that they are really benefiting the US, it's well worth trying.